This video has been extracted from another video, and I will put a card to the full original video should you want to see the full topic. But I just want to discuss about blending between post-process volumes and post-process volume priority. You will have noted that this is using a post-process volume that is in the world. Okay. Now, one thing that you can do, let's just look at my item setup. Because there's only one process in the world, I'm getting get actor of class and setting PP. Now, as a little trick, what you can do, if for example you want to transition between two very stylized looks, you can certainly do that too. And you can still use this method, but what I would recommend you do is, let's have a look. So you'll now know I've got two post-process volumes. Both of them are enabled and on infinite extent, but one of them is the grayscale, as you can see, and if you recall, I only had one get actor of class, so it will get the first one. Basically, we'll look at how we can get them individually, but I'm only accessing the first post-process volume. What I've also done is set the priority. So for example, here you can see it's priority 1, so that gets rendered to screen in favor of that. Let me just check that a second. Yeah, because if I change that to 1, we're now getting the color and the grayscale isn't being prioritized. So let me put that back to 0. I want the grayscale first, and we are incrementally removing, not incrementally, we are remapping that value and deducting that from 1 so that we are fading out the blend weight to reveal the second volume. So rather than setting or swapping out values in a single post-process volume, you can have a couple and then just blend from one to the other by setting the priority. So here, for example, we're grayscale, excuse the flickering. Oh, flickering, it's just a sort of crude, but there we are. We're now, in a similar way, gone back to 0. So now that has gone from one post-process volume to the second, and it's additive. So although it's grayscale, it has kept the kind of grading of the shadow detail, and then just as a priority being number 1, set everything to grayscale because we've desaturated the global value in that post-process. So that's all that's happened there. So it's a way of blending between two styles, but it is additive. So it will be, it might not necessarily give you the effects that you necessarily want, but in terms of trial and error, you can experiment with that. And as a final little test, really, and just to relay to you, rather than the post-process volumes being additive, what I have done now is basically blending from one to the other. How have I done that? So in our item setup, you can see that I am doing a get all actors of class and then just promoting that to variables. So I've got post-process volumes, plural. We can ignore that total, that's exactly the same, but this is where I've changed things up. So you'll note that our map range clamped here, this one, which deals with post-process volume 0, our first one, black and white, is remapping our values from 1 to 0. So we are going from fully enabled blend weight 1 down to 0. So we're fading that one out. But this one, the range is the other way around, 0 to 1, and we are getting post-process volume 1, which is our second one, and therefore we are fading this one up. So coming back to our example, you can see we've got grayscale, we don't have that dark shadow at the top, which we had when it was additive. But now when I'm going through, you can see that it's becoming colour. It's going into the second post-process, and now it's getting darker and more saturated. So we've got two distinct styles that we're going one to the other without it being additive. Anyway, I hope that's of use. Many thanks. So I hope that video is of use. If so, please do like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive any updates. And thank you for your support.